should probably channel some music. Oh. So I'm going to be completely honest as I just hit the go button on this stream. This isn't what I do. This isn't what my normal channel is at all. This isn't what people watch me for. But it's something that I'm very consumed by and have been for like, I don't know, for a while. I've been like totally consumed by this for the past like several months. And the last, 3 or 4 weeks, I've dove into it a bit. So I'm hoping that some folks want to hang out with me while I talk about this. It's been a very long time since I turned on the stream and was unsure if anybody would come. Because usually we're good to have at least, 20, not a lot of people, but 20, 30, 40 people coming in, hanging out, having a conversation, having a great time while we play some Pokemon. But we're not doing that today. Today we're talking about adding Pokemon to D&D, which is a completely not thing that I do. But like I said, I want to be in it. I'll be in and out for this. Mr. Tawalker, thank you so much. I'm going to give it a second while I gather my things. Just because I really don't know what to expect here. This could be 5 minutes and nobody shows up. And I what's going on, Kiwi? But yeah, like I said, this could be something where folks aren't interested in it, and then maybe it doesn't go anywhere. But I'm hoping that this can be, not a change to the channel, but something new that I can add to it. Because if we can add something else that I'm really passionate about, which is D&D and fantasy, role playing games and stuff at large, it'd be great if we could do some of that. I'd be super freaking down. But yeah, so a couple of months ago, I wanted to start making a Pokemon like regional Dex. And this goes back to years ago. So when I first started Archers, Mr. Pizza, how's it going? Have I seen the monster stat blocks for Pokemon in D&D? They're pretty cool. I've seen the Pokemon 5e ones, or at least some of them. So I'll get into that. But so like years ago, actually, at this point, I wanted to make a regional Pokedex based off of Rhode Island or just New England in general. It's where I'm from. But in Rhode Island, I should probably put the chat on my screen. Shouldn't I? I should put the chat on my screen. Let's do that. Chat box, add source, chat box. Where are you, chat box? And I'll stick it below me here. But yeah, so for a long time I've wanted to have, hey, yeah, what's going on, Archers? It's been a while. How was your trip? How was your time? But yeah, so I wanted to make a D&D. I wanted to make a Rhode Island Pokedex. But the problem was that Hasbro is here. So Dungeons and Dragons, and to a lesser extent, like Transformers, and even like Mr. Potato Head, like toys. Hasbro properties were like taking over the entire thing. So it's like, all right, cool. Let's think of like a cool, industrial revolution or colonial Pokemon type of thing. What kind of animal can we do with that? But all I could think about was, the Eevee of my region would be a dragon that would have an evolution for every chromatic dragon. Or, I wanted the starters to be based off of, like, all right, cool, we need some fish. This is the ocean state. Let's get some fish. Well, what if we had a kraken? Or what if we had mind flayers and we had this and we had that? And it's like, so I couldn't get away from it. So I pivoted and I wanted to make a D&D region. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's make a D&D region. Let's talk about that. So I started talking to a couple of artists. Pokedex fillers is a scrolling obsession of mine. So I was like, all right, let me look at some of the artists that he uses, and then I can maybe get some stuff commissioned, and I'll make some videos about it. And if people like it, then I'll continue to make the decks, and someday maybe I'll learn how to make my own fan game, and I'll do that. So I started posting shorts a week or two ago of those, and people were just asking me like, yo, what about them D&D rules? What D&D rules you got for these cool Pokemon? And it's like, I don't have any. Let's make some. So yeah, pizza nugget. So to your point, and I should pull up the website. I did no prep for this. I have like four windows. And those windows have some equations on them, and that's all I have. I have like nothing. I'm like so like going off the cuff with this. But let me just pull up the Pokemon 5e. Pokemon 5e core book. But if I go to images, because it got taken offline. So a couple of years ago, there was something called Pokemon 5e, which was, you know, Pokemon in D&D. They added all different trainer classes and stat blocks for every Pokemon, up through generation 8, I think. So like, we can look at like for Alligator, for example, and Totodile and stuff. Ugh, that's not what I want. Where was I? Oh yeah, it was this guy. It was this guy's site. Oh, there we go. So like, all right, so like here's Chikorita, here's Meganium, here's Bayleaf. So like you had monster stat blocks for every Pokemon, and he had the folks that were making it had translated every Pokemon move, including natures and percent to of certain like genders and like literally everything. Let me wait for one of these millions of ads to go through. But because you can't make a homebrew of an IP, and I don't know if they were selling it or if they just got too popular or whatever it was, Wizards of the Coast shut it down. But yeah, so creating a Pokemon trainer. So then, you know, there are other systems. There's Pokemon Tabletop United. There's Pokemon, Pokeroll. There's a whole bunch of other systems that are not based on D&D. They're not even all D20 systems. Some of them are D6 systems, D20 systems, whatever. But it's like, all right, cool. But like, I want to make D&D with a Pokemon trainer and then not get, you know, sued by Hasbro or whatever, like these guys did. So the way that I envision this is I'll still make my Etheria, that's the region. I'll make my Etherian Pokedex, and I'll make a different type of monster trainer. And I won't call them Pokemon. I'll call them like Magic Beasts or some other silly acronym like Pokemon. And, you know, maybe we can make some homebrew stuff and have some fun. And I was like, well, how do we do that? How do you make a Pokemon trainer in Dungeons and Dragons? Because, like, you're supposed to fight. You do the thing. But you don't do that in Pokemon. And I don't even know. Tell me if I'm doing this bad or wrong or whatever. But I guess, like, card games, you have to roll a die and flip a coin, status effects. And see, and that could be a neat thing. But I spent the last, like, 2 weeks making a class sheet of what I'm calling the arcanist, and the 4 subclasses, which effectively give you, you know, tank, melee, you know, tank, DPS, caster, and support. But like even beyond that, I guess I start with like what the story is. I don't even know. I guess I start with the region, right? We talk about what the region is. We talk about what the setting of the adventure is. Why are there Pokemon or Aetherkin or whatever other silly names the ChatGPT gave me? Because yes, I've been using ChatGPT to help me with numbers because equations are hard and I'm not a math boy. But I think that I've got the stat conversion in a really good spot because I still want to make these Pokemon first and foremost. So converting all the stats into, into HP, AC, all the normal D&D stats, including movement speed, all that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to work on now is figuring out, attacks, cantrips, and leveled spells. How exactly do I want that sort of thing implemented into the system, and how do I make that? Obviously, this is a living document, so I have a general idea of how the Pokemon trainer or the monster tamer would work, but like, how does that change based off of how the Pokemon operate or the whatever the hell we want to call them? But basically, the story of the Etherian region eons ago. No, but basically in this reality of whether we want to call them Pokemon, it's the Etheria region, and it's a Pokemon region based on Dungeons and Dragons monsters, or they're going to be magical monsters that I base on Dungeons and Dragons monsters, and we play them in a tabletop D20 all-out slugfest where someone's trying to seduce somebody. It's the same idea. So the way it works is that it was a very advanced magical society. So I'm thinking like arcane punk stuff. So like floating cities, technology that was powered by magic. If you think of like Tales of like Exilia or something like that, where people are unknowingly sacrificing like spirits or whatever to give themselves computers, like things like that. So it is an advanced magical society. Maybe think of like Piltover in League of Legends, like something like that. But people suck because people always suck. So just like how in Netheril, Karsus wanted to become the god of magic, there were bad people that were trying to do bad stuff with magic. So the creators of the world, the god or gods or whatever, needed to adjust this. So over time, magical creatures started popping up that we're calling Pokemon. And as more and more Pokemon popped up, people gradually lost their connection to magic. And this kept on happening until we reached today, where magic is basically non-existent to humans. So they've, reverted to a more traditional D&D setting, more like medievally stuff, but there's still some technology powered by certain types of Pokemon. Like, like an electric Pokemon might be running like a Voltorb running a generator to make your lights turn on, like things like that. So there's still some remnants of or old magic items that haven't like died yet. Like they still have a little bit of a charge in them, even though it's been like 1,000 years or whatever. So there's still some remnants of that magic. And obviously there are still some people that have some connection to magic. And even though they can't cast a spell, if they have a Pokemon, they can use that innate magic in them, and their Pokemon are more better than youngster Joey and his top percentage Rattata, if that makes sense. So in a game, how that would work is, things like Mega Evolution, being able to have a full team of 6, kind of like how in Legends Arceus, whatever, it's crazy that you have a full team of 6 Pokemon. Holy crap. You can manage all these fellas. So, being able to have a full team, maybe, you can, HMs and TMs. So in a D&D world, they would do like a spell scroll or like some kind of, ancient tablet or whatever, but you can decode that to teach your Pokemon moves. But like, if you don't have that ability in you, you wouldn't be able to do that. So it makes the gym leaders, the trainers, the evil team, whatever, whoever the important people are more important because they still have that little spark of magic inside of them. And of course, the evil team is trying to get back to a world where everybody has magic. We don't need none of these damn Pokemon. So they'd probably be doing something similar to Giovanni trying to create Mewtwo like in the anime. So they're trying to create like they're once again kind of going back to Karsus and Netheril and things like that in D&D. They're trying to make their own version of the Weave to give magic back to humans, and that would be what the evil team's trying to do, and that's what you're trying to figure out and stop. So that's what all of this is. Yeah, so Pizza Nugget. So getting into that. So getting into the actual arcanist. So I called it an arcanist because, it's not necessarily a mage. You are kind of like a cross between like a wizard, a sorcerer, and an artificer because you are using, magical items or you're channeling your magic through items to connect to your Pokemon. So you don't fight. You don't fight. You have a movement speed. I guess you have an AC and you have HP because you have to. Ash tried to punch that Mewtwo that one time. So like for you as a player not to have stats is ridiculous. Of course you do, but like you don't have armor proficiencies or weapon proficiencies. You are not partaking in combat. The way that it's going to work is the player character is responsible for the role playing, and depending on what type of trainer you are or what type of arcanist you are, you can donate certain of your stats to your Pokemon. So like for example, at a base level thing. So, Arcanist stands in the crossroads of ancient magic and modern mastery, a figure who channels the lingering echoes of a bygone era into powerful creatures they command, draped in robes of a scholar and armed with the knowledge of whatever. You're an artificer wizard. This is what you are. You're an artificer / wizard. So 1d8. So in case you're gonna get hit, it's not that bad. 1d8 plus, all this normal D&D stuff. Weapons, armors, tools. Tools, I think, probably going to you choose like 2 tools. But weapons and armor, no. Proficiency, saving throw, intelligence, because you study in an academy to become an arcanist. So intelligence is your inherent saving throw, and you also share that with your Pokemon. So all Pokemon have intelligence saving throws. At least that's my general thought. And you just pick 2 skills. I didn't really think about races or anything like that because since this is a Pokemon game, everybody's a human. So I mean, I guess you could like flavor yourself to be more elfy or orky or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is and obviously if it's a homebrew, you can do whatever you want in your own setting. But I figured you just take 2 proficiencies and then assuming everyone's a human, maybe a feat and an extra skill. Whether I do variant human or regular human, I don't know. But yes. So you get 2 skill proficiencies and, equipment, you start with these things. So Poke Gear. So many things. I should have done this. All right. Can I get on my Instagram on here? Probably. Maybe. Which account is this? Okay. Messages. So don't look at this. All right. You can look at this, I guess. This is a very, very rough draft. The artist said these wouldn't be done for like another month. But like the idea is, you look like a D&D adventurer, but every arcanist has this little stone here. Mega stone, focus stone, whatever. It's your what's the word I'm looking for? Your spellcasting focus. So whether it's affixed to armor or a staff or a piece of, just a necklace, whatever, you have that's your focus stone. But your Poke Gear, so your Poke Gear is a part of that. So the Poke Gear, I think in this game would probably be like a Sheikah Slate like looking tablet thing. So it looks, it's like a little magic-y and a little technology, but it works as your Pokedex. You can decode ancient scrolls and tablets, so the TMs and HMs that would be in this game. It acts as your Pokedex and all the stuff that a Poke Gear does. I haven't thought of a cool fantasy word for that yet. And then your Focus Stone, whether it affects your piece of armor, jewelry, staff, or another object, the Arcanist Focus Stone is what allows them to channel their innate magical ability and direct Pokemon in battle. Arcanists with their bonded Pokemon can share experience, abilities, and communicate through these stones. It's another way Arcanists differ from standard Pokemon trainers. So once again, top percentage for Rattata. Joey's out there with his rat, his bird, and his bug. And he can't teach his Pokemon TMs. He can't direct them properly in battle. He can't have X number of Pokemon. So the Arcanist does not directly participate in combat. Bonded Pokemon do. I'm like, yeah, in as far as like, exactly. And as far as like, if this was a game, eventually it would work for Z moves, or in as far as D&D goes, like your capstone abilities. Like the wizard one is just like deal maximum damage, or when we get down to the tank one or the martial one, it's basically like a battle master, but it's like you cast haste on everybody you cast haste on your whole party for a minute. Like the capstone level 18, level 20 ability, that's like the Z move, or I'm sure I'll add like Mega Evolution or something like that. That's all through any magical stuff that you might be able to do that makes you different than a regular trainer is all in your stone. But yeah, so it's, and then as far as when you have Pokemon, I should have rehearsed some of this, guys. Thank you for just like dealing with me as I ramble. On first level, proficiency bonuses added to your Pokemon's ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. I might need to change the attack roll thing, because then that would mean that at level 1 you have a plus 8 on average to your attack rolls. So I might need to get rid of that. I don't, unless I'm making it so that the Pokemon do not have a proficiency bonus of their own. So, oh yeah, but your Arcanist proficiency bonus is used for your Pokemon's ability checks. Okay, yeah. So sorry, I already accounted for that. I already deleted that. So yeah, they don't have their own proficiency bonuses or anything like that. They don't have their own saving throws. That's all coming from me. Arcane Scribing. You can teach your Pokemon additional attacks, abilities in a number of ways. So I'll get into how I think I'm going to do moves and abilities later. But yeah, this would effectively work like how a wizard could scribe a spell. You can do the same thing for your Pokemon, but I'm also kind of combining it with how infusions work for artificers, because I don't want you to be able to teach an unlimited number of moves to your Pokemon, because number 1, that's not how Pokemon work. Pokemon only have 4 moves at a time. And then number 2, you're not a wizard. You do not have mastery. This isn't the olden days. People don't have as good of a grasp on magic anymore. So I feel like limiting it to your proficiency bonus is kind of more like, so the Pokemon ends up being more like a sorcerer combined with an artificer more than a wizard, because a wizard has unlimited potential with that whole thing. And I think that that's too much to deal with this. But as far as what you do, I only have up to 5th level. So a lot like magical classes, you don't have a lot of crazy abilities. You know, it's mostly coming from the stuff that you do beyond your initial stuff. So yeah, so the battle mage, so the tank one first. So you gain constitution proficiency, and then you gain 2 of the fighter proficiencies because you're effectively gonna become a battle master fighter. As for iron defense, at 2nd level, your Pokemon gains the effect of holding a shield. So this will inherently make these folks more tanky. And when I'm going to give them, you know, obviously we can see down here, we get maneuvers and stuff. You get action surge. I just called it skill link instead. And I gave everything silly little Pokemon names instead. They're just placeholders. I know if I really make this, it can't really be Pokemon names. Where you could change it, like terrestrializing, maybe that might be neat. I hadn't even considered that because since I'm not going to be using regular Pokemon, I'm going to be using, maybe to test it, I would use regular Pokemon. But if I were ever to be like, become a member and get this cool sheet, like if I was ever going to make this official, I would have to change it. But I think maybe if people want to like be players and like test this stuff out with me, I would at least do like level like 1 to 3 or whatever. May, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for joining the party. But yeah, so like I said, effectively the battle mage becomes a battle master. So you can have a shield, or you inherently get a shield. You get action surge, and then guts are basically like your battle master maneuvers. So it works exactly the same way as superiority die. If you're not acquainted with D&D and you only know about Pokemon, the way you could change its class if you're doing classes and not types. So I'm trying to fit everything into the same box of D&D because, like I said, if this becomes like a real project, I can't do Pokemon exactly. These are all placeholders. I'll have to call them something else. But this is like just for funsies. Like I can't have, so I still have to fit everything into into the box of how D&D 5e works, assuming I want to do it as D&D 5e. I don't see why I would make my own system when there already is Tabletop United and some other stuff. But I feel like having some D&D homebrew, because it is the most popular tabletop system, might be fun. But then I picked a handful of the maneuvers that a battle master gets. But like I was saying, if you are not a D&D person, if you're only a Pokemon person, battle master fighters get basically a bunch of moves. So when they hit you really hard, with their sword or their mace or their axe or their fists or whatever, they can do stuff with it. And that stuff does more damage usually. So we got Quick Guard, which is effectively shield. You get +5 to your AC. I know that's not a maneuver, but I figured giving yourself protect is probably something that a fighter should be able to do. So you get +5 to your AC for the turn. Intimidate is basically the same thing as Menacing Strike. So when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can attempt to scare, they're frightened, so they get disadvantage on attacks and stuff for a turn. Counter is repost. You hit them, they hit you, you hit them back. Hone Claws. It raises your accuracy. Doesn't do any direct damage, raises your accuracy. Force Palm pushes you back. Low Sweep, it trips you. And a couple other ones. but Low Sweep, Taunt, after you bulldoze, and Assist. So kind of going down with that, and then more extra attack. Fighters hit stuff fighters don't do a lot of magic. They hit stuff really well a bunch of times. So you hit a bunch of stuff, a whole bunch. And then this goes into Pizza, what you were asking. Every subclass has the ability to add whatever that subclass's primary score to their Pokemon, or at least to their damage rolls. I don't know about to their ability rolls, like to hit. I would need to play test that, I guess, but at least to the damage rolls. So clerics get potent spell casting, so they can add their wisdom modifier to their cantrips. This is effectively that. So the fighter Pokemon can add their strength or dexterity bonus from you, the arcanist. So you're donating that extra strength or dexterity to their attack damage. So this still incentivizes you to play as the big burly idiot, even if you or the big burly leader, whatever fighter archetype you want to do. It still incentivizes you as the person to role play the way you would in a normal D&D game, because you're giving these abilities to your Pokemon. So that's kind of how the way that works. Endure. This is an orc half orcs. the first time they get knocked down to 0, they don't. I thought that'd be a nice thing to give to the fighter Pokemon. So we get that, and then Stockpile is indomitable. So it makes you harder to hit or harder to take down with spells. That's effectively what it does. And then Dragon Dance, so your capstone ability. As a bonus action, you can spend a superiority die to grant all allies within 60 feet an additional action. So you give everybody a baby on your team, a baby version of haste. Which is OP, but it's on level 18. And a lot of capstone abilities suck in real D&D. So I wanted to make sure that all 4 of these didn't suck. And after all my rambling, does anybody like or dislike or have any strong feelings about that? I feel like I'm like teaching a bad class and I don't know what I'm doing. Lost my voice. Also, we're going to put on the gamer hat now because I am a real gamer and we're out here gaming. Also because I'm nervous because once again, this isn't what I normally do. This isn't how I do my streams or my content. Exactly, yeah. So I just started trying to figure out how moves would work now or today, if I'm being completely honest. So I'll get into the moves I'll run through the rest of these quick and then I'll get into moves. I mean, Specialist, it's a combination of Rogue, Swords Bard, and Gloomstalker. Is an unrestricted action or a haste action. So the way that I have it set up right now, it's just attack or dash. So it kind of it's the extra, because obviously Dragon Dance gives you attack and speed. So you could either get an extra dash or an extra, but I see what you're saying is an extra attack or an extra attack action. So then realistically, I think I'm going to go for the rule of fun. You're on level 18. So I'm going to say it counts as a new attack action. So yes, you'd be able to BG3 attack 6 times. I don't know, because once again, we need to test it if I ever make it for realsies. But I'm going to say it's for funsies. So you can hit stuff 6 times. Rule of cool. Rule of fun. BG3 over D&D for specific things. For this version of Haste, I'm doing that. Plus, once you're on level 18, you're fighting like world-ending threats. Like we're going to be fighting God on level 18. So let the not Charizard use Slash 6 times or whatever. And obviously, when I get to moves in a little bit, I'm still trying to separate these by attack, cantrip, leveled spell, even if that's not exactly how progression is going to work. I haven't 100% decided on progression yet because I need to crunch more numbers on that. But yeah, but this would obviously be for your attacks. But yeah. I've been obsessing over this. Absolutely obsessing over this. Yeah, so player guide on how combat works. So the way, I totally skipped over that. Thank you, Mabe. So you have a movement, you have your own independent move action that you can take in combat, but you don't, your action and bonus action are shared between you and your monster. So similar to how, the bad version of Beastmaster works. So you can, hey, what's going on, Kim? So like, you can swap out your Pokemon, you can use an item, whatever. Think of it as being like the game. Either you, the human, can do something or the Pokemon does something, but you can both move independently. So if if somebody wants to be the wild card and run up to the Pidgey and try to punch it in the face themselves, I guess I'll let you roll an unarmed attack, but like, you're really not supposed to be doing that. It's just you would be moving to get into position. Like maybe you want to try to put your body in front of something to flank, but the bell has failed me. What's going on, Leon? But yeah, no, your Pokemon would be doing the bulk of the actions. I feel like you would either be using a bonus action to like throw somebody a potion or whatever. Exactly, yes. That's the way that I have it envisioned. Because it's the kind of thing where like, in the game, you can't How do legendaries work? Leon, I haven't even finished talking about the class yet. But, you know, Pikachu, return! Go, Geodude! Like, all right, that's your action. That's the action for the turn. Maybe the Geodude can do a bonus action of some sort because you haven't used your bonus action yet, but, like, that is your action. Or, like, they can get out and move if the other Pokemon hasn't moved yet. Like, something like that. I would need to figure that out. But I'll run through the other class quick, and then we can talk about, I guess, stats. Only one monster can be controlled at a time. How many player classes are? So right now there are 4, Mabe. So there are 4. There's basically, if we drill it down, if I'm just gonna like talk strictly like D&D right now, there is Battle Master. There is like a Gloomstalker Swords Bard hybrid. There is a Lore Bard Life Cleric hybrid, and then there is a Wizard Sorcerer. So right now I just have one for each, archetype. And I thought that would be, just starting with those 4 would be the easiest way to try to figure out if the system even works in the first place. So initiative is going to be based off of you. So I know that, like, obviously maybe the only difference is with the specialist, because I gave them some of the Gloomstalker abilities. At 3rd level, where the hell is it? Maybe I forgot to write it down, because obviously like Gloomstalker gets plus to their initiative, so like maybe that would be ways to have maybe your Pokemon donate some initiative, like maybe we add your Pokemon's dexterity to the initiative if you are the roguey guy. But because the player is the one making the commands, I wanted the initiative to be based off of the humans. And obviously we just need to scale it up. So, if there's 5 people in a party, you're not going to find, but because when you're playing D&D, you find a gaggle of 10 goblins to fight. So, you fight those 10 goblins with your 5 dudes. I would just need to scale it up. So like, I guess, you find 10 random Team Nexus goons that ambush the 4 or 5 of you, and then you got to deal with them. The Team Nexus are the bad guys. I probably should have said that too, because I think it sounded corny enough and magic-y enough. Because it was up between that and Team Apex, because they wanted to bring humanity back to the top. So in double teams, so you share your action with your Pokemon. You each have your own separate move action. The human does not fight. The Pokemon trainer does not fight. They just give directions. Yes and no, Mabe. So, why don't I just pull up the sheet I had? Hold up. Let me pull up. You haven't even let me get to the math yet. I ran a bunch of formulas. I ran a bunch of formulas. I mean, I told Chat GPT what I wanted and then kept adjusting it until the numbers looked good. No, it wasn't explained at all yet. So obviously there are going to be some Pokemon that lean towards one or the other. But there are also like some Pokemon you can kind of make work for both. So like if we look at like Raichu, for example, he has a +4 to intelligence and a +4 to dexterity. So Raichu you could realistically have as the rogue character or the wizard character. And even in something like like same thing with like Charizard. They have a +4 to both of those too. So you can take it different ways. It depends on the Pokemon. Something like I don't know, Machamp. Yeah, if you're not doing the fighter one, you're dumb. But I'm going to try my best to make sure that at least most of these monsters can do at least 2 things. And kind of in tandem with that, skipping ahead even more, just ruining my presentation. Yeah, so a special attacker is likely going to be the mage. So let me pull up the equation before I even do this. Where are we? Stat conversion guide. So this is the way that I calculated the stats. So HP, So you take the Pokemon's HP stat divided by 10, and then make sure, and then plus 8, and you got to make sure that it is at least 8. So this is what the Pokemon's HP is on level 1. So for AC, it's 10 because everything has a base of 10. I know that there are some monsters that have less than a 10 AC, but the monsters are player characters. So you can't have less than 10. So it's defense plus special defense plus half your speed divided by 25. That's your AC. I initially had all three of these weighted the same, and it was like Charizard had an AC of like 25. And it was just, I was like, well, that's not right. That's not how that works. But that also means that, a Pokemon with like someone like Snorlax, who's super slow, their AC still ends up being 19 or 20. But then somebody like, I don't know, like Arceus or whatever has a 22 and everything, So strength is attack divided by 10 plus 8. With it can, and I want to make sure that no stat was lower than 8, because realistically, why would you catch it if it was less than 8? Obviously, if you go for like a Weedle or something, actually, I don't even think Caterpie and Weedle have an 8 in anything. No, they don't. I might need to adjust these. But like, if something has a negative modifier in a stat that you care about, you're never going to use it. So I wanted to make sure that every Pokemon was viable at some point. So nothing goes lower than an 8. And anything that was 120 or higher was considered a 20. So it's build choice more dependent on the monsters used. I mean, it's so basically. So I hadn't considered that yet, but maybe. That was also going to be part of my dog. I don't know why she's barking so much. Hold on one sec. All right, cool. So I hadn't considered that yet, Mabe. Like literally, I spent the last like 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, writing up like the rough draft of the classes, and then I spent this week. I also started tinkering with these math equations, and then today I started trying to figure out how moves work. So Leon, the way that TMs. Oh, that could be interesting. The way that I had considered charisma would be, and at least the way right now, because if we look at the formula, where are we? But that's actually a really good point. I can totally change it to be that. The way that so charisma was, it was calculating both charisma and intelligence for special attack. But then I was basically telling it that, like, dependent on how that Pokemon type would be presented, weigh either intelligence or charisma higher based on that. So, like, a Pokemon like Alakazam is intelligence, but a Pokemon like Gardevoir is charisma. But that's actually a really good point, because then that could go into like capture rate and stuff like that, especially because like I said, if this becomes a real thing, I can't call it Pokemon. I got a Power. You got to have you got to have a friend sphere that you throw at your friendamon, and you get him in the friend ball, and then after that you all go on adventures and be friends. So, but that's a great idea, Mabe. That's a really good idea. A charisma could be like the difficulty of the catch. So like depending on how low their HP is, that could be like the starting DC. If you try to catch it when it's at full health, that's what the roll DC is to catch it. I think that's actually that's a really good idea. And then it goes down based on how much health they have, or if we reason with it, like whatever the DM or the GM decides to do with that. I think that is a way better way of dealing with that. I gotta write that down. I gotta do that. I gotta do that. We're not gonna do that right now, because I'm not gonna sit there while we watch ChatGPT do more math. But that's a really good idea. I love that, mate. But I mean, just like skipping through most of this stuff, just so I can get an idea. Um, so the specialist is a Gloomstalker rogue. So you get the extra attack at first level, you get extra movement speed, and then I wanted to give them flourishes. I want to like Sword Bard has. How easy is that? That's actually a good point too. So the way that I was thinking of it working was obviously your Pokemon learn moves as they level up. I'm caught between how I want to do that, and that's also why I wanted to do this so I could talk to you all about it too. But the way I have it right now for TMs or move tutors or whatever term we want to use, whatever term we end up using, you can teach your Pokemon moves up to your proficiency bonus. So you would start off at 3 and then eventually 6. So that way, because like I said before, Pokemon don't have 40 moves, even though a wizard does. And even a sorcerer has what, 20 spells, 25 spells if you include their cantrips and stuff. A Pokemon's not gonna have 25 spells. Like, that's not how that works. That's not how the game works. What's going on, Shannon? Welcome to the party. So trying to find a balance with all that stuff is I think going to be really difficult. But yeah, the specialist gets flourishes. They're literally the same thing as flourishes. But what I wanted to do, because I knew that I didn't have a charisma caster. So instead of adding strength or dexterity, I had them add their charisma modifier to their damage rolls. So I wanted there to be a player class that could be like the dedicated face. And since I'd already given them expertise like you get from a rogue, you get 4 proficiencies like a rogue does. I thought that obviously having this character kind of be the de facto warlock, have 2 to 3 slots. That's a good point, Bucket. Yeah, warlocks only have a couple of slots. So I think that what I'm landing on for how they learn moves is somewhere in between a warlock and a wizard. Plus, I wanted to give options that would reward you for following a path, because obviously, if you wanted to have like when we were looking at these charts a minute ago, Raichu and Charizard, like Raichu could be the rogue or could be the wizard. So I wanted you to have choices that would incentivize either path. So I guess that leads into this. So the way I was thinking about doing moves would be every even level, you would be given 1, 2, 3 options, whatever. Which move do you want to learn? So Raichu gets to level 2. And whether it's a cantrip or a leveled spell, whatever it is, I think I was going to do, and this is kind of where I was getting into what I was trying to figure out today. I think instead of having spell slots, I want it to be like how most monsters are dealt with in D&D now. And it's either X number of times per day you can use this thing, or you have a recharge timer on it. And I felt like a recharge timer on it was more boring. I think it's boring. Like, oh, you used flamethrower, you got to wait 5 turns to use flamethrower again. So I think, like, if on level 8 you can either learn Thunderbolt or Volt Tackle, I gauge the number of times per day of each move based on how many of that level's spell slot you would have. So, like, for example, if I make, if I make Shockwave or Spark, and that's a level 1 spell, on level 2, you would normally have 3 level 1 spell slots. So you can use that move 3 times a day. And as you level up, you would have more level 1 spell slots, so the number of times you can use that move per day would also increase. But each individual move would have its own PP, just like it does in actual Pokemon. For a sentient PC, but monsters have different properties, therefore different important stats. Keep the 6 options, rename, consider how they're used. Something like that's a good point. That's a good point, Mabe. But yeah, the way that I think it would be more fair and more fun would be like PP. But then you also have some of that anxiety of, I don't know if I should use Thunder right now. I might need Thunder later, but you already have that in D&D because you only have a limited number of spell slots anyways. Warlock level 3 pack to the chain ranger. Yeah. Absolutely. Pack, yeah, pack to the chain, pack to the blade, and then pack to the tome. So yeah, like you would, you would start with, and then that leads into the only thing that I kind of agreed on with myself. So like for your, and these are only melee attacks, obviously. Short rest potions either can come in handy, give PC. Exactly. Yeah, you give something to spend money on, absolutely. But like, we don't have long swords. We don't have daggers, long swords, etc. So this was just a quick numbers that GD patron. Hey, these are indeed warlock things, and they're all very good things. But like, Scratch starts off doing a D6, and your basic attacks would get more powerful just like your cantrips would. So like Charmander, for example, would start with Scratch and Growl, just like he's has Scratch and Growl now. And when he learns Ember, that's a cantrip, and cantrips get more powerful. So in a world where you don't have gear, your attacks need to get more powerful. So we got that. I mean, theoretically, you could use Hone Edge as a weapon. Or player abilities like maybe Wizard can recharge some special attack. No, so yeah, maybe that's I had considered that. So if I go down, let's go down to my boy here, the Mystic. I gave them sorcery points. So yeah, you can use your sorcery points to do all the things that sorcery points do, but you can also use them to restore your PP. But obviously there are ethers and things like that you can do as well. So, and I think I'd be a little bit less restrictive. So like if you wanted to, if you wanted to twin, because once again, rule of cool, if you wanted to twin fire blasts, which are fireballs or whatever, just do it. Is accuracy just a roll? Yeah. Well, so I would just, right now, the way I'm looking at most of them are that I am just converting them straight. So like it would be the way that Leon, if you don't, where we at? Hey, what's going on, Beck? So like Leon, if you don't know how D&D works, the way that it works is, hey, 4 months, let's go. 4 freaking months, graduating to the next ball. That's great, dude. So excited. Thanks, pizza. I'm going to be working on it. My starters are almost done. My fish roll is 80% accuracy, but it won't do exactly what it does. So, like, I guess Cantrip rough draft. I started looking at moves. I guess I got to move me, huh? Okay, this is way too small. Nobody will be able to read this. Ha! Hit me right in the fissure. So, let me zoom in here. So I was trying to figure out cantrips, sort of. So I went on to Bulbapedia, and I pulled every cantrip that every move that does 40 or less, except for confusion, because confusion apparently does 50 damage now. I didn't realize that. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, how do we turn these into cantrips? So I started. So yeah, some of them are hits. Some of them are saving throws, and it works the exact same way that any of these things work. Have you ever played any Psionic Classified? I think the PowerPoint system is kind of cool and less restrictive than No, I haven't played. I played one session of 3.5 once, and we did not get out of the tavern that we started in because there was a drinking game before we played, and everybody performed very well. But the drunker you were, gave you various levels of disadvantage and minus to your attack rolls. So we spent 4 hours trying to punch like 6 rats, and then we gave up and never played it again. So that's that. But yeah, so, and once again, this is just like literally, all I did was, I was like, hey, turn these moves in. I told ChatGPT to turn these moves into cantrips. If it's something like Ember, which Firebolt already exists, just rename that and do that. I haven't looked through these yet to see if any of them make sense. I just copied and pasted them here, and then I had to make dinner and get ready to do this. So like, this is literally what I was doing this afternoon. But like, the way that I think that I want this to work, and maybe you're a D&D vet, and anybody else out there that plays more D&D than me, tell me if you think this makes sense. Like like a, you know, like a talent system. So that way you can try to fit a square peg in a round hole. You can be, you know, Psychic Vivian, the Mystic Arcanist, but you really want that Machamp. So you keep on teaching it like Aurasphere or whatever the hell, but it's just not working. But you can try. You can try. You can do it all day long. Interesting. That's actually cool. No, I'll have to take a look at that. Leon, so for what regional Pokemon I have? So I mean, technically none. I am in the process of, well, hold on. What regional Pokemon do I have? I mean, the answer is, so we're sticking with 2 Mons, only have 4 moves to work with them. No, Beck. So the way that I wanted it to work, and this is theoretically, if we go from level 2 to level 18, and every even level we learn a new move, then that gets us to 9th level spells, which I don't think that I would have Pokemon know 9th level spells, because I feel like that's too powerful. Like, I don't need Alakazam casting Wish or something equivalent to that. So maybe a Pokemon's spell wouldn't go higher than like 6th or 7th level. But you would have the moves that you start with. So, you know, your Scratch, your Tackle, your Growl, or whatever, and that would evolve over time. You'd have your, you know, Cantrip basic attacks, you know, your Ember, your Leafage, your Gust, your whatever, that would gradually get better over time. And then every even level you get gradually more powerful options to try to fit in different roles, whether that is melee or range or caster or support, depending on what type of Pokemon it is. So that's the general idea. And then additionally, you can teach your Pokemon TMs up to your proficiency bonus. So, you know, maybe Venusaur doesn't learn Toxic or Sludge Wave by level up, but you found a TM for it, so you can still teach them. You can still teach them that move, you know, stuff like that. Or Charizard obviously doesn't learn Solar Beam, but you know, or Hyper Beam, but like you find the TM for that, you can give it to them, and then they would be able to use that X number of times per day. So you have PP, based. Every move has PP based on the level of spell slot that I think the power of that move is, and how many spell slots of that level you would have if you had spell slots, if that makes sense. It's just a bunch of math that obviously, by spending more points, you get regular Psychic Blast, dealing 1d6, boosted 2d6, many more. Well, yeah, so that's kind of like meta magic, sort of. Which at least for the Mystic class, that's what I wanted to do. So like, to up, or even to and everybody, if you want to upcast it, yeah, why the hell not upcast it? I don't care. It's how to use Judgment. But what I'm trying to figure out, Mabe, is, so obviously, like, no, I guess that answers my own question, because like superiority die, like, if I have a physical Charizard and Wing Attack is my basic attack, or Slash, or Bite, or Crunch, or whatever, I can use my superiority die on that. But if I cast Flare Blitz, even though it is a physical attack or a physical spell, it's still a spell. I can't use a superiority die on that. So that, I already answered that question for myself. But then again, you can cast Smite with Flourishes. So do I let them? If it's a physical spell, do I let them use the die with it? Hadn't thought about this. Oh, let me show you the math. Allow me to show you the math. Okay, buddy, check out my math. So HP, because I said that no stat could be lower than 8. Are the Pokemon getting That's a good point. That's a good point. But we're gonna have some real big superiority die then. So much math. Where are the Pokemon the one getting? No, so you get the class. So you the arcanist, the Pokemon trainer, have the class. So this is the class, and that class, depending on which subclass you get, you can either be basically a tank, a fighter. Sorry, a tank, a rogue. You can be a fighter, a rogue, a cleric, or a wizard. Just like speaking like on like totally base terms with it, just to keep it like simple. Oh, I didn't even zoom in enough for you guys to see any of this. There we go. Later, Leon. Can mons hit multiple targets? So I mean, yeah. So certain spells would. So something like fireball, without renaming it. You know, the way fireball works is you hit everything in that square. So that's just going to be how it works. You know, are you going to make your dexterity saving throw and see what you can do with that? So the spells are going to work the same way as they would in D&D. So if the D&D version of this, if I translate the thing into the world of D&D, if realistically it would hit more than one person, then it would. So maybe flamethrower works like lightning bolt, but it's less powerful. So it's like a combination of like scorching ray and lightning bolt, where you shoot a line of fire, or it's like flame wall, like something like that. It's a line of fire, and everything in that line gets caught on fire. Well, so I haven't even finished making the moves yet. I don't know. Let's make a mock trainer to help apply. Okay. I don't even know how to do that. Like a level one bug trainer. So like on level one, you're just a regular arcanist, Arky boy. Customization for your PC, class-based, class test, skill. Side question: how are you handling capturing and containing very small bags of holding pocket dimension? So to answer you first, Bucket, because your question is easier. Yeah. So your backpack's a bag of holding. You know, we would still have Pokeballs or capture spheres or whatever term that I would need to use to not get sued by wizards. Um, um, you know, you would still have a capture device, but you have a bag of holding. Arcane discus. It can look like a mon. It can look like a mon. It can look vaguely like a Monster Rancher disc, and you throw it like a Ghostbuster trap or a frisbee, and it goes under them and it sucks them in. It's a ghost. It's a combination of a Monster Rancher disc and a ghost trap. Let's go. And then you stick them in your bag of holding, or they get stored inside of your arcane focus gem, and you can summon them by drawing a card and throwing it back out. Honestly, some of this stuff sounds cool as hell. Some of it's cool as hell. Maybe we do it. Um, but I mean, as far as PC customization, because you weren't here for the very beginning, Mabe. So let me bring it back to you. So I mean, you know, you have your normal play PC customization. The only thing is that obviously in the world of Pokemon, there are only humans. There aren't, you know, elves and orcs and goblins and stuff like that. And in a lot of these different races or archetypes, I'm going to try to fit into being Pokemon. Um, yeah. So I in my mind, everybody would just be variant human. So you get, you know, you just maybe pick so you pick two proficiencies from any proficiency, just to kind of try to start to map out who you are as a person. And then we either do, you know, you probably do +1 to 2 stats and get a feat. I think that's probably, and obviously I would need to make custom feats and stuff too, but I think that's how we would handle it. You know, you would do normal rolling or point by or whatever it is that you want to do. When you're making your character. Obviously, if people want to homebrew their own things, but What stats do you fear? Oh, so you're, I mean, as the trainer, you're doing all the role playing stuff. So you're still, walking around town trying to seduce people to give you discounts on like cool cloaks and stuff. And the importance of your different stats are depending on what subclass you pick. When you get to level 6, you get a version of potent spell casting that applies to your dominant stat of your subclass. So, for example, as the fighter one, at level 60, arcanist strength or dexterity bonus can be added to your Pokemon's attack and damage rolls. So you're gonna give, or maybe not attack and damage rolls. Maybe it starts as damage and then it scales up to attack rolls as well. So it's still incentivizing you to role play as the class that you have chosen to be. For the roguish one, I had it be charisma because you're getting a bunch of proficiencies, so you're gonna just kind of de facto end up being probably the face of the party. So this still promotes you. You still need dexterity for thieves tools and stuff like that, or for problem solving. You still need to jump over that gorge. You need your athletics to exist. So you still have to perform in these. You still have to perform in the overworld and have the conversations and do the, solve the traps and stuff. So, and then then obviously the one difference I made, because clerics are kind of good at smacking things in the face and kind of good at doing magic, or at least surviving in the thick of it. The only difference was for the cleric version of it, the sage. You can add it to your attacks or your magic, and your magic rather. So you're not getting any abilities that Well, once you have like more evolved Pokemon, then yeah, obviously that would help. Like if you want to try to intimidate a shop owner with your Caterpie, it's not going to work. But if you walk in there with your Charizard, it's probably going to give you advantage on that intimidation roll. The same thing with whether with flying or jumping or something like that. In the low levels of the game, I don't know how much Pokemon help your Pokemon is really going to be, other than like, you know what I mean? So, but that I feel like that's also like the rule of cool. And then obviously, for the Mystic, you can add your intelligence to your cantrips and stuff when you get to level 6 too. So Tail Glow. Add your intelligence modifier to Pokemon's cantrip and spell attack damage rolls. So that still incentivizes you as the arcanist to take an ASI, optimize your stats based on the type of character you want to be. Obviously, for the role playing stuff and being good at the stuff you want to be proficient in, but also being able to assist your Pokemon in the way that you would be doing the combat if you could do the combat. Is there a PC system on how often you be catching things so I think the way that I had it work, where is it? Was when you start the game on level 1, you can have 3 Pokemon. And when you get to certain other milestones, you can have up to the 6 on your team. You can catch whoever the hell you want. But yeah, it would be in that PC system would probably be built into your Pokegear or whatever I end up calling it, your little ancient tablet thing. Arcane Bond, where am I? Yeah, level 1 you can have up to 3. The number of Pokemon on your active team increases at 6th, 9th, and 12th level. So by level 12, you can have a full team of 6. I thought the 12th level was a good spot to be able to have all 6 Pokemon, because when I get to evolution, level 12 is where most 3-stage Pokemon will be. Like you get, level 12 is level 36. You're getting towards, the upper mid game of a Pokemon game. A lot of D&D games don't go past like level 12 or something like that. And I also thought this would be a reasonable way to explain why not every trainer in a Pokemon world has 6 Pokemon. Because like you're fighting like people in Victory Row with like 3 or 4 Pokemon. Why is this the case? So I thought that tying that to your player level would be helpful. Plus, you're going to be juggling multiple monsters that have, even though they're performing the same core idea of being a fighter, of being a rogue, of being, they have the same like archetype. It's still different spells. Does it mean everybody should have good constitution and charisma? So the only reason why I only started with 4 was to make sure I could make it work. I I mean, realistically, I'd like there to be the 13 that exists now. Um, doesn't that make it the best stat? Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That's why I gave the rogue that's why I gave the rogue the charisma bonus, because of the player's strength, dexterity, the player's physical stats. I mean, really, the player's stats in general only go towards the RPG, the role playing part of it, and saving throws. Because, like, obviously, like if you're in the way of the fireball, you're still going to get hit by the fireball. So yeah, instead of dex being the most important stat, it's kind of in the same place as like strength now, where it's like it's important if you need it. But like the way, and once again, this is why I'm having this conversation, because this is the first. This is like I'm thinking it in a room by myself. I'm not talking to anybody. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, but Bucket, yeah, maybe it already kind of come up with that. So the Pokemon's charisma stat is going to be like their capture rate translated into a 1 to 20 stat, and that's like the DC you have to beat. Like if they're at full health and they have a 20 charisma, you're not going to catch them. But the lower their health is, the easier it'll be for you to beat that DC to catch them. No, dude, I need you to spitball it. But you know, dexterity is important for, you know, if you were just like in regular D&D, if you're a fighter, you can kind of, I know that the traditional fighting thing is heavy armor, big ass sword, go for it. But like you could be a dex fighter. You could wear medium armor and dual wielding rapiers with dual wielder or whatever. Like you could be a dex fighter. So that's why I kind of gave the fighter the opportunity to use both of those stats, whichever one was better for their bonus. But I needed somebody to be charisma. So I just figured it made sense to give charisma to the rogue one / bard one, because they have the most proficiency. So they might as well also be good at talking to people. Let's clarify how the stats depict the trainer and the monsters. Like if I was trying to min-max, I'm looking at each Pokemon does, and my physical stats are only good early. Then why not dump it? Well, I think we'd be having the same kind of discussion if you picked a wizard. You would want Dex for AC, which you still want to have, even though you're not. I'm going to need to come up with some sort of armor system for the humans. Because if you're in a big fight and somebody throws a fireball, and this is the reason why I wanted you as the player to be able to position yourself and your Pokemon. If evil team leader douche nozzle lets out a fire blast and you're in the way, you're going to need to make a dexterity saving throw. So, or if you need dex for thieves' tools or to sleight of hand to try to steal something, you know, like your physical your stats are for role playing and saving throws. So I guess it depends on the type of game you end up playing, but yeah, like if you pick the Mystic or the Sage, you don't need Dex except for your own personal survivability, because that's how it would be if you were a Tempest Cleric. You don't need Dex except when you do. Dex also we're still using your initiative when you're rolling. So you would still maybe want a decent Dex, because even if your Pokemon's super fast, you're the one calling the shots. So you're the one. I know that in Pokemon, the faster Pokemon goes first, but in a D&D game, I can't be swapping initiatives every time somebody swaps out a Pokemon. Or you send in the fast Pokemon first and swap it out for the slow one, and you already get a good initiative, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's why it still uses your initiative, because you are the trainer. As our training stat. Ooh, my back. I mean, strength, you can usually just... So you're still gonna... Before I go back to your thing, Mabe. So you don't necessarily need AC, but like if you get like hit by like a, I don't know, if you get hit by like a rogue beam, I guess you don't necessarily need AC. And you can block a sight there, but with the power of magic and friendship, anything is possible. But yeah, I mean, I know you would need your you need saving throws and you need HP because you also donate your bonus HP. You also the way the HP progression works. Oh, and you know what? See, and this is why skipping around is not a good thing. So Mabe, certain things like con and stuff, HP is calculated with your. Where are we? I have this somewhere. Efficiencies, Poke Gear, Arcane Bond, Bonded Companion. Yeah, from second level onwards, your Pokemon's HP increases at the same rate of yours. Your Constitution bonus is added after the attack roll. So, like, if you want to give your Pokemon more HP, then you want to have a decent Constitution. But once again, if they're frail, then that one. So I'm trying to find different ways to make the stats matter. Dexterity is still going to matter because you need Dex is, Dex is your initiative. Dex is the initiative that you are giving your monsters. Yeah, I mean, ideally, yeah. But then you also want to, if you pick the fighter one, you want to have a good strength or dexterity because you're adding damage to their rolls. If you are the cleric one, you want a good wisdom because you're adding your wisdom modifier to their damage rolls, So at level 6, everybody gets a version of potent spellcasting that goes along with that class's main stat. So that's why you want your player to have that decent stat so you can add that to your Pokemon's attack damage rolls. I'll probably also add it to their attack rolls at some point, or maybe like half of it, because I don't want you to have like plus 20 to attack. That seems bonkers. But yeah, so like if you have a 20 strength, if you are the fighter and you have a 20 strength, after level 6, you are adding an extra 5 damage to every single one of your 10 billion hits. Because the Pokemon is getting their strength bonus and your strength bonus. And if you're the cleric one, they're getting their wisdom bonus and your wisdom bonus. And so forth and so on. So that was the way I could try to make it work. And then, obviously they need con because they need HP. You're not really, I think very rare. I don't really know how I would make concentration spells, or even if I would. But like, obviously Constitution, you just want to have a decent HP pool. I play Alakazam. What's the fantasy of playing if you play a fighter, what's the dream scenario? Are you fighting alongside your Pokemon? I mean, I hadn't considered that because it's also like, it's Pokemon. So in Pokemon, the Pokemon fight, the people don't fight. So that was, I think the whole idea, because if I'm going to make this a generic fantasy monster world alpha, like it's not Pokemon. Let's pretend it's not Pokemon for a minute. The world of Etheria is like, there used to be magic and people could do anything. And now they can't. They're regular people for the most part. So it's because of these magical creatures that they're allowed to still do supernatural stuff. So even though they themselves, and I know this is only representative of a stat, but it's just like, I can't. So why play a fighter when a cleric or wizard are better monster tamers? I mean, same reason why some people want to be tanks. True. I mean, I maybe I could have like Z move style things. I did imagine like the sorcerer like twinning a spell and like it coming out of you Like it comes out of them, and then like you also get to shoot the beam. Like that could be fun. Something like that. I don't know. But I also just wanted to make sure that when I was making these, it's like you play the fighter one because you like playing fighter. You know, you like having the battle maneuvers, you like getting into the thick of it, you like having the big HP pool and all the and attacking a billion times. You know, if you play the fighter one, it might be slightly more difficult for you to capture, but even then it's just like, you know, if you whittle something down to like 2 HP, the DC on you catching it is hopefully reasonable. I know that, like, yeah, in like a dream scenario, yeah, we would have the good version of Beastmaster, and we're out there with the Pokemon doing the thing. But I think in that version of the game, you only have your one partner Pokemon. You don't have a team. So as you pick your partner Pokemon and you go out there and you both have your weapons and you're out there doing the things. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I've been working on this for 2 weeks. Oh no, no, and I know Bucket. Well, yeah, and I mean that was sort of the when you get to level 18, everybody has their own thing. Back to answer your question, the class features also. So I made the one class with 4 subclasses, and each of the 4 subclasses are basically kind of versions of classes that already exist. So the battle mage is basically a battle master. You know, the maneuvers that you get are slightly different, but you get maneuvers. You know, you get the same extra attack progression that a fighter gets. You add your strength or dexterity. You know, you get relentless endurance from orcs, from the half orc stat sheet. You get indomitable, and then the capstone ability is you cast haste on everybody. Like that's what the fighter does. You know, and then the specialist is a combination of Gloomstalker and Swordsbard. So, you know, you get honestly the 3 maneuvers that already exist, the 3 flourishes that exist. I didn't even change the way they worked, at least not yet. But then you also get, I mean, I called it Shadow Sneak, but you get that ambusher extra 1d8 free attack that Gloomstalkers get. So like you get that thing. You can add your charisma modifier to your rolls. You get 1 extra attack. You get evasion, and you get improved critical. And then you get stunning strike as your capstone, but you can teleport 60 feet before you use stunning strike. So not super powerful, but it's from far the frick away. They have symbiotic relation requires getting into the fray. Like a ranger and animal companion is more than a fighter. Ranger, Beastmaster, Lock, Chain Paladin. True. No, I know, but that's but that's also like I was trying to fit how strong is the PC supposed to feel in combat? How often should you be attacking? How many hits should you be able to take? So I mean, in the scenario that I was creating, the PC doesn't attack at all. You just move. You move in command. It's a Pokemon trainer. It's just I know that putting it in D&D makes it so like you feel like you should be doing something. So like the human part of the game, the role-playing part of the game is what the person does. The fighting part of the game is what the monster does. Because that's how it works in the Pokemon anime and then in the Pokemon games. So I know that it's not very traditional D&D of it to have you as the player not smacking stuff or casting the spells, but it was supposed to be, the idea was that it's different than the Beastmaster or other companion, or the Drake Warden or other companion classes. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it don't work. I mean, yeah, because the PCs. No, no. I mean, a fight would go in a straight on regular ass fight. You have a party of 4. Well, you wouldn't get it unless you were the specialist. Oh, no, so these are what the Pokemon get. The Pokemon gets this ability, not you. It's part of your class, but you are commanding the Pokemon to do that thing. So these class features that we're all getting, like that's the rogue one. The rogue gets improved. The rogue archetype teaches their Pokemon how improved critical is effectively what that is. You as the player are not doing any of these things. You're not doing any of this. It's because of the way that you have studied how to understand magic allows you to share that with your Pokemon. Even though you can't do it, you're the coach. You can't do it, but you taught them how to do it. So that's what I need to figure out. I was thinking of player abilities, maybe doing it like a Warlock evocation list. So you would get access to non-combat stuff. So, whether it's extra proficiencies or charm person or disguise self or, things like traversal spells. So like fly or knock or dimension door, like you would have access to non-combat stuff. I just haven't figured out how to work that yet. What I was trying to focus on first was making the 4 archetypes. Would it be universalist or different depending on the player class? Is there a synergy of PC classes in certain mods, like a fighter, fighting types, ghost types? So to answer your questions first, Mabe, I don't know. I think it depends on. Eventually, each class would probably have its own list with some kind of like how Warlock works. So you can take this one if you are a battle mage. You can take this one if you are a specialist, so forth and so on. But there are some of them that are going to be universal. Like all Warlocks can take Beguiling Influence, but only Pact of the Blade can take Thirsting Blade. So it would probably be like that to kind of help further customize your dude. And back to answer your question, not necessarily. So there are going to be certain Pokemon that are better at certain things, and I didn't use good enough examples when I ran the numbers on them earlier. Because because they're starters. They're all and then I used freaking Butterfree. But like, for example, I don't think you were in here yet. Raichu, for example. Raichu's got great dex. Raichu's got great intelligence. So he could be very easily the rogue one or the wizard one. So as a fighter, 19 dex isn't bad as a fighter. I can still use 19 dex as a fighter. Absolutely, I could. But it would be better suited for those other 2 things. So I'm not going to inherently, or like if we look at like a Pokemon like Machamp has crummy special defense and crummy special attack. So probably not good to be a cleric, probably not good to be, and crummy speed. So I could make it work, but you probably shouldn't. So I'm not inherently limiting anybody from using whatever Pokemon they feel like, but it's like, a cleric shouldn't use a greatsword. But you could strap one on if you want. It's just probably not a great idea. Thanks, Kim. My hope is to keep on working on this for another couple of weeks. And then, I'm going to keep on putting out shorts every day or whatever. And I'll probably cut different parts of this video up and make a video that like makes more sense. Like I'll make like a Yeah, I'll make a video, like a real video, and post that either next week or the following week. But my plan is to, in the next month or so, play test this with a one shot with regular Pokemon. You know, not with the Fakemon that I'm making, unless unless I get some more made. So I would map out like level like 1 to 3, and like definitively what I want from level 1 to 3 from all the Pokemon, from all the classes and stuff like that, and then do a one shot or a very short campaign live and see if it works. But I don't know. Because it's like, obviously if you're fighting wild Pokemon, it's just every battle's a horde battle. You have 3 to 5 people you have 3 to 5 players, so you're always gonna fight 6 to 10 monsters. And even though Pokemon battles a lot of the time are one-on-one fights, obviously, unless I'm doing like a tournament arc, you need to keep that to a minimum, because then you have, another 2 or 3 players sitting there not doing anything, and that's boring. So I think that for the one shot, I would probably start it off as team battles. Like, you're the graduating class of Aetherspire Academy. Didn't even get to talk about all the world. I spent like a month on the world building. Anyways, this is our graduating class. Here are our like in Naruto, teams 1 through whatever the hell, team 1 through 10, and they're all gonna fight each other in a tournament. And then when the tournament's all done, you guys all go for a few free for all to see who the real good arcanist is. Like I would probably do, and then maybe the bad team will interrupt, but that's probably what I would do for like the testing grounds. It wouldn't involve, at least for most of it, you're not catching another Pokemon. You just are learning the mechanics, level 1, level 2, level 1, level 2. So you're picking your specialization and just getting an idea of if this system even works in the first place. And hopefully people like it and people watch it. And then I could start doing this in addition to my Nuzlocke, because I would love to branch out into more Pokemon stuff, because it's tough to play Nuzlocke every week. When I don't have a lot of time to do it, so I'd love to be able to add this into the repertoire. Hold on, let me go back. I know I missed a bunch of stuff. So when you got hurt, normally superficial. Exactly. Yes, I think so. Hold on, let me look at the Discord right now. Yeah, so I put the Arcanist class sheet in the Discord. Hold on, folks. Hold on, guys and gals. I can do. I hate that. We are so close. With only 7 more boosts, I can have a permanent link. With only 7 more boosts, we have a permanent link. Hello there, and welcome back to the Oatcast. I'm joined here today by someone called Adventurers. Well then, let me tell you. But yeah, so in the D&D Dex section, I haven't posted any of these charts yet, but I just have the PDF for that. Well, the Google Doc for this. I have it on share, right? Yeah, anybody with the link can access. So I already have that there. So it explains the 4 classes as they stand right now. Obviously, it's not finalized. None of this is finalized. I'm pretty confident that like level 1 through like 6 is probably okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, you were talking about the Star Wars one. Hold up. Let me scroll back, maybe. Star Wars D20 had a cool system where your real health pool, your base constitution, is separate health pool, which represents superficial energy. So you get hurt. Normally, you would go to superficial pool, refilled every day, got used up. You were crit on your real HP pool. Oh, that's actually really cool. No, and that totally makes sense, because it's like, if you actually got slashed with a lightsaber, unless It's the Disney Star Wars. Like, most of the time, those wounds are serious. Same thing with blaster bolts. Blah, 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 I can't talk. So that totally makes sense for like, yeah, you have effectively a stamina bar that's being drained, and then you're actually getting hit. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Wonderful. But yeah, I was excited. I mean, like, I thought really hard about these two were easy. This one I feel like I really thought about, because like, how do I make healing people interesting? Because I don't always. I was a healer. I was a healer in WoW for like, I don't know, 6 years at least. It's like, how do I make this interesting? And I think I did it. You get blessed you get blessed. Helping hand, you get blessed. You get blessed. That's good. Harvest, you get Goodberry. Because I also made it. At second level, you clear up 10 berries after a long rest. You have 1d4 of damage, can be consumed as a bonus action. These berries expire on the following long rest. Because at fourth level, when you heal an ally with an ability or an item, including ones you've created, you add your wisdom modifier to the healing done. I was like, great. Makes healing fun and important in D&D, which is a game that you normally don't heal people in unless they're dead. Here's a level they can get more danger with battle roll be deadly. You're only a human. You're only human after all. No, that's a really cool system. I like that a lot. I really like that. But yeah, the Sage is all about healing at temporary HP. I forgot what the thing was. Oh yeah, the Serene Grace. You hit stuff and it heals your friends. So it's towards the back half. You get a little bit of smacky smack. Get that Goodberry. I was like, well, because I was like, all right, well, obviously, you can buy potions and you can buy ethers and stuff like that, but I want somebody to be able to provide healing, but no, Pokemon don't know cure wounds. Like, recover or whatever, but that's for yourself. Like, how do I make it so that way you can heal other people? And then I was like, well, Goodberry. I was like, well, how do I make Goodberry work in Pokemon? And I was like, well, Oran berries and citrus berries. But obviously I didn't call them those, but Oran berries and citrus berries. There you go. Absolutely money saving. You don't got to buy no food. And then, yeah, you could make Blastoise where are we? Like Blastoise, 18 wisdom would be an excellent Sage, but also has decent strength. You still have a +3. So if you did want to Aqua Tail somebody or Body Slam or whatever it was, you can still get your player's wisdom bonus added to that. And I thought that would be fun. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and that's something. Yeah, but yes, absolutely. Only the Sage can do it from far away. I mean, I guess it's not like BG3 where you throw a potion at somebody's dead body, and they can stand back up because a little bit dribbled into their mouth. We're not quite there. So yeah, only the Sage could pick somebody up from a distance. But I mean, I guess you as the player could try it. Like, your last Pokemon goes, obviously you can swap out. You can, Charmander, return, go Pidgeotto. But like, if you were down to your last Pokemon, or you didn't think you'd be able to wait until your next turn to recall them. Because yeah, the Pokemon gets down your turn. Pokemon's down. You have to wait till your next turn to swap them out. So like, another player could run up to your Pokemon and try to give it a potion, but like, then they're putting themselves in the line of fire where they might have to, get hit or something like that. So like, you as the player can still be in danger. I would imagine it would probably be either 30 or 60 feet. Probably 30 feet, because I feel like you should be close enough that you are in danger when you do it. Ooh, can it be interrupted? I hadn't decided that yet. I don't know. I mean, because you're doing it on your turn. So maybe if I made a reaction for trainers to have to interrupt you. No, I mean, I think that maybe it would be, yeah, no, that's a good. I feel like the player classes conflict limit mon choice and move selection. So you're not wrong on that, but no, that's a good point, maybe, yeah, maybe it would, if you're too close, then an opposing Pokemon, or like if you have to move into danger to do it, maybe I make it closer than 30 feet. Maybe I make it 15 feet. Maybe you have to get like really, you got to get like up in there. So that way, yeah, like if you're running by an enemy Pokemon to get close enough to do it, you might get hit. Like you might still be able to do it, but you might get smacked and then you're still right there. So I guess then that means that I should give the players like disengage and stuff as just an ability they can do. Because if they're going to have to get into the thick of it, then that would definitely make the combat more exciting. Because yeah, if from like 150 feet away, you can be like, all right, come back. You know, there's no danger in that. So I think that's a really good idea. I think that's the second great idea, Mabe. At least the second one. But my issue is seeing the correlation between mon stats synergizing with PC stats in combat. I feel like classes conflict / limit mon choice and move selection. So it definitely does a little bit, but when you're playing D&D just in general, the way I'm thinking about it is your Pokemon are your equipment / magic items. The Pokemon are gonna learn their own moves. Like at least right now, I have to figure this out. Every even level, they're picking another move, and it'll be, I'm gonna try to do a nice little mix where these can theoretically fall into multiple archetypes if you wanted them to. Or like each Pokemon, like a little mini talent tree for every Pokemon kind of thing. But if you pick a fighter, you're gonna fight. If you pick a monk, you're gonna punch. You're only gonna get magic items and equipment that helps make your punching better. So like, if I'm a fighter, I'm not gonna catch an Alakazam. So like, it doesn't make any, like, I could do it like for funsies, like, ooh, I got one, but like I'm not gonna use that. I could get it because it's cool and fun, but like I don't need that. So I'm gonna try to make it so that way most Pokemon can fill at least 2 roles. But something like a Butterfree, if I pull up Butterfree stats, a +1 to strength and a +2 to dexterity. Granted, it's even, and you're gonna get Butterfree on. Oh, where's my evolution chart level? Hold on, I got evolution chart too. You're going to get Butterfree on level 5. Having a +2 to your primary attack stat on level 5 ain't going to cut it most of the time. So you're not going to be the roguish Butterfree, You're going to be relying on your wisdom and intellect, which are both at 16, which are +3. And I know it's only one additional one, but the 1 is a big deal. If you evolve a Pokemon as opposed to catching it, evolved is easier to train. Yeah, I definitely think that their charisma is going to be higher the higher level they are. Just because I think that I'm going to base the equation for charisma on capture rate. And, divide capture rate by whatever I need to do to make it fall between 8 and 20. Because even... because if it's an 8, then you're effectively giving yourself baby pokes have high charisma. It's harder to it's harder to catch a Dragonite, except when it's an Igglybuff. When it's an Igglybuff, it's far more difficult to deal with. Far more difficult to deal with when it's an Igglybuff. But I think that that's maybe an interesting way to definitely a really interesting way to do it. So yeah, so I think I would divide their capture rate by whatever to make it fall between 8 and 20. Or maybe higher if it's a legendary, you know? You give instructions to baby, they don't, I mean, they don't know how to listen. Their ears they don't know what the words are. They don't know no words. My daughter's 2.5. She certainly doesn't listen. She don't listen to nothing. Unless you're offering ice cream or something like that. But yeah, so, you know, obviously I want to keep on spitballing this with you guys. And I'm glad that we still got, you know, a dozen, you know, 15, 12, 15, 10, 15, that 10-ish people in here consistently. Because I was afraid that I'd be talking to myself, you know? So I really appreciate people coming in and hanging out with me while I do this silly thing. And hopefully people will watch the VOD. And hopefully if I cut this down into a video later on or make a different video, people will watch it. I think it's a really fun thing that I want to try to do here. I hope people like it because I would love, because if these videos are successful, then I can commission a bunch of really good artists to make cool Pokemon based on like goblins and stuff. And I want to do that. That's what I want to do. But to make a Pokedex of like 150 Pokemon would literally be thousands of dollars. So I need the videos to pay for themselves. Otherwise, I can't do it. Look, what you want to do here next is when you're going to roll your dice. First of all, let me get these guys out of here. Hold on. Hold on. Now, you want to listen really carefully here. Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, but I need these videos to kind of pay for themselves because I can't do that. My starters should be done by next week. I've seen the sketches of them. The grass one is the best one, which I was the most nervous about the grass one, and it came out the best. I love him. He's adorable. He's a bear. There's a bear, a cat, and a wolf. And they're representative of Moon Druids, Evocation Wizards, and Tempest Clerics. Beck and Mabe, I know you already heard this. Their sketches are beautiful. I think they're good. Hopefully people like them. So if I were to cheese this system with a Rogue Bard theme, I mean, the Rogue Bard theme, it's already there. It's already cheese. It's literally like, I like being a fighty fight guy. Like in MMOs, I'm always just the tank. I like just being a fighty fight guy. But honestly, being bards are fun. And this is a bard mixed with a Gloomstalker, which is just a better rogue, a more interesting rogue. But you get expertise and a bunch of proficiencies just like rogues do. You get dash, disengage, and hide just like rogues do. Then look, you get that ambush. You get that Dread Ambusher. Everybody love that Dread Ambusher. Dread Ambusher is a good move. You get extra initiative, which I forgot to write down. Oh, yeah, you give yourself a bonus to your initiative equal to your charisma modifier. Cool. See, I don't even remember what I wrote down. Start that first turn each combat. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. It lasts until the end of your turn. You get an extra attack that does 1d8. Hell yes. Swords Dance, you get your thing. So Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is a defensive flourish. And you can do these ranged or... and I know range combat's going to be weird. So like, yeah, like a flying Pokemon or a bug Pokemon, I think would have a reliable physical attack that I could consider a weapon attack. Like, you know, like Air Cutter or something. Air Cutter or like Razor Wind could be a physical long range acting like a bow. Something like Pin Missile could be acting like a bow. Bullet Seed is like acting like a bow or a crossbow. So I do feel like the certain Pokemon types are going to get pigeonholed into whether they are crossbows or swords, just, you know, from their existence. You know, Fury Cutter. Oh, it's not. Oh, I changed it. It wasn't. Oh yeah, Fury Cutter. Fury Cutter is sweeping the sweeping one, right? Extra damage to target hit by, yeah, within 5 feet. But you can do it if you do a range, you can hit 2 dudes just like in BG3 because rule of cool, rule of fun. And then feint attack is the push people away one. With that idea in mind, how do the mods I want help or hinder that theme? I mean, it depends on you. So I mean, I mean, because we were looking at the sheet last week. Oh, let me X out of this. Because we were looking at the sheets, the thing I'm gonna do last week. Where the hell is it? D&D Brainstorm. This isn't it. Is it? I don't even remember. I think it is. I deleted all these. You know, I'm gonna, and obviously I can't have 130. This is like 300 Pokemon. I can't do this, but I'm gonna try to have a good mix. I want there to be, because I still want to make this a Fakemon Dex and do videos about them as Pokemon while also implementing them into a D&D system by not calling them Pokemon. I want to do both. I want to have my cake and eat it too. So I want there to be, because if this was a real region with real trainers, I want there to be at least 6 Pokemon of each type, 6 final evolutions of each type. I want there to be at least 6 final evolutions of each type. I want there to be a good mix of roles that those Pokemon can do, both to fit in this and to both fit in this. So there's a lot of work to do as far as that's concerned. So for the PC class, maybe consider basing them on non-combat classes instead of like blacksmith armor. Oh yeah. Oh god, what was his name? It wasn't Austin. It was something like that though. Hold on. Pokemon Season 1 Sandshrew guy. AJ. I knew it began with an A. Akira. Oh. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back, Archer. But yeah, this is... I should probably share some of the other things too. Oh, we still talking. We still talk. Running through the things. Mabe's got some great ideas. I got to implement how close you got to get to swap out your Pokemon to put you in physical danger. 15 or 20 feet. So you got to get like right up in there. And then capture rate will be determined by charisma determines capture rate. What else is there? I got to figure more of this out. I'm pretty confident this is okay. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, Shawnee. Because having the moves you start with, plus 9 moves, plus 6 TM moves you can learn, I feel like that's more than enough spells for a Pokemon, for an individual Pokemon to have. In fact, that might be too many. It might be too many. I might need to lower that. Maybe make it half your proficiency bonus, or maybe not make you learn something inherently every other level. Because, although, no, you're playing D&D, but then you're also balancing it between up to 6 different Pokemon. So, like, which basically gives you, like, a full wizard spellbook. Like, you get everything. So, I don't know. But you are separating it by having to waste a turn swapping out. So, that is kind of the way you balance it. Oh, yeah! Well, I mean, you're not picking fighter. You are picking a battle mage arcanist. It's just you have trained your Pokemon in the art of whatever. Or, I don't know. I need to think. I get what you're saying. I need to think of like a lore reason as to how exactly these things work. I feel like the Battle Master one, even though it's the most straightforward thematically, it is the most difficult one to explain. Because, yeah, the roguish guy might, the roguish guy knows how to be sneaky. And you know, the bardy guy knows how to be, charismatic and sneaky. The healer guy knows how to be a medic. The wizard guy is a dork. But, the ace trainer archetype, which I guess is probably the best, the closest analog, the one who's just really good at fighting, you know, the black belt, the ace trainer, the whatever the hell. How do they teach their Pokemon these maneuvers? So maybe I change that up a little bit. Maybe I make it more like a straightforward. Maybe I make it more like monk, or make it more like champion, something that's a little bit more straightforward. I just thought that having the Battle Master maneuvers would be more fun. But yeah, it might be overloaded because then I'm adding, you know, an additional 4 moves on top of the 20 moves you get. Three base classes. That's a good point, Beck, but I also want to reward people for leveling up. Like, you know, like Charmander should learn Flamethrower at some point. But yeah, maybe I make it less often. Or maybe Ember becomes Flamethrower. I don't know. Because the way that I was kind of thinking of it, they would start with, you know, basic attack and then like 2 cantrips. Or basic attack, or like they would start with like melee attack, if it's applicable, a ranged attack, and then 2 cantrips, which would be like Growl and Ember. Like, and that's what you start with. And then how do you go from there? Let moves evolve as the bomb. Yeah. 3 base classes. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah. These are all rough drafts. Because yeah, it's also, because I don't think that any of the classes inherently by themselves are overloaded or wrong, but I made them in a vacuum without the Pokemon. So now that I'm making the Pokemon, like, almost all of this could change. Because like I said, I made these without knowing what I was going to have the Pokemon. Without knowing how I was going to have the Pokemon work. I knew how their stats would work. I didn't know how their moves or level progression or I mean, I know how their stats are going to work. I'd already figured out the formulas for those. But I don't know how their I don't know how their leveling is going to work. True. Hmm. Well, yeah, so that was kind of like with the psionic thing. I mean, it's similar to, I mean, because my initial thought with this was to make them sorcery points. But because I don't plan to give Pokemon inherent spell slots, I'm going to do PP for each move. I thought, you know, like, yeah, you can upcast with them. So you use X number of psionic points, calm mind points, whatever I want to call them, adaptability, whatever word I'm using. And I go from that point pool so I can upcast Flamethrower. You know, now Flamethrower, which would normally have an equivalent to Scorching Ray, now acts, you know, as a 4th level version of it instead of a 2nd level version or whatever. I don't know. You have all given me much to consider. But as like a general concept, a general, like, yeah, man, making games is hard. I don't do this. Yeah, man. Kids on bike systems seems like a fun noise. Dice exploding based on roll. For level up, we could do like your character gains XP and levels up their class and use the XP points to evolve certain Pokemon, make strong bonds. Something like 20 points. Yeah, so I was for evolving, at least for now, I was gonna, it's all gonna be based off of level. You know, just I think that's the easiest way to do it. So it depends on the number of stages you have and the your base stat total would dictate when you would level up. So something like a pseudo legendary would get to their final form on level 14. You know, your basic 3-stage evolution would get there on level 12, and then level 5 for like Caterpie, Metapod, stuff like that, just because both. So we both level up at the same time. You both level up at the same time. You roll for your HP the same way that you would roll for it. The only thing is when you're rolling for the HP for your Pokemon, you can also add your Constitution modifier to it. So they get their normal level up progression and yours. You know, every 4 levels you get an ability increase or a feat. I don't think I would do ASIs directly for the Pokemon, but maybe some feats would give your Pokemon additional stats. I feel like your Pokemon's stats are static, just like they are in the games. I'm not dealing with IVs and EVs and stuff. That's way too complicated. Does your monster level... I would say yes, Mabe. Just for the sake of keeping the system simple, I would say yeah. Hey, that's awesome, Archer. That's great. But yeah, Mabe, just to keep it simple, I'm gonna scale up, and then obviously, you know, if you're for some reason, if you're on level 7 and on the encounter table, I roll to find, I don't know, a Ditto, not a Ditto, a Nidoran or whatever. But you're already on level 7, so it should be able to evolve into a Nidorino or a Nidorina. Then like you could elect to evolve it right away or whatever. Then why train anything? You can just dump garbage for better stuff. Because Pokemon or the monsters, like you yourself said moments ago, they're your equipment. You do ditch your regular longsword for a +1 longsword. You do. You do. You get rid of it. You found a better sword. You found better armor. So now you use that better armor. You know, maybe I would put like a waiting period of some. None of this friend shit. I mean, that's up to you. That's up to you as the individual. If you feel like, you know, we all kept our Butterfree on our championship team. When I was a kid, the first 6 Pokemon I caught were the only Pokemon I used for the entire game. Whatever they were, that's all I used. And until I started playing Nuzlocke, so I was still an adult. When I was playing through Diamond and Pearl, the first time I played Gen 4, that's what I did. The first 6 Pokemon I caught, I liked them, I kept them, that's all I had. And I was, you know, I was in college. So if that, you know, if you want to be a min-maxer, then yeah, get rid of your Wigglytuff because you found a Lucario. But if you love your Wigglytuff, then you'll make it work. And I want it, with the exception of like really low base stat total Pokemon, I want to try to make it work at least a little bit. And that's why I think maybe the way that like feats and stuff would work, maybe I could take into account some kind of like bond level or something like that to make maybe weaker Pokemon, you know, kind of like Poke-Ami, where, you know, if you fed them enough macarons and pet them enough, they like you more, so they dodge stuff better. So maybe evocations or feats could give us some sort of stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the Pokemon are your equipment. But yeah, so exactly what Archer's just said. You know, maybe they get to add, I don't know. After X amount of time being on your team, they can do Y. But also, to that same token, we could shove a bunch of I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe their level gets like rounded down or something like that. But then you can, give them rare candies or something to get them up to your level. I don't know. I genuinely hadn't thought of that yet. I got to start making moves so I can make Pokemon and level up moves and test it. So, I mean, I already have this chart for the Kanto starters. So I'll probably just stat out the first couple of routes worth of Pokemon from the Kanto region and play test it in. I can do my Professor Oak voice, and we can play test that in a couple of weeks, and then we'll get to level like 4 or something like that, which would probably get us like through Mount Moon or something like that, or getting to Misty or just around Misty, and gonna go from there. That would be funny. So Beck, the way that so in Etheria, so I wrote like 2 paragraphs and gave it to ChatGPT, and it gave me 10 pages. But I'm not going to read all that to you guys. So basically, the way that it worked, the backstory of the region works, was this was a super advanced magical society. There was technology. Think like like future that never was, technology mixed with magic kind of baloney that you see in like old Tomorrowland or like steampunk, arcane punk. So like there's computers and stuff, but they're I don't know, they look funny, or like Piltover and League, like stuff like that. That was the way the world was. It was magic. And then the bad guys wanted more power, more and more and more, because they always want more power. I had to do that too. Sorry. So to counteract this, magic started getting taken away from humans, and Pokemon started popping up, or magical beasts, or Aetherkin, or Magi monsters, or whatever word we want to use. And the more and more Pokemon that popped up, the less and less magic people could use, until eventually, very, very rarely, can people use any magic. And you, as a player character, are one of those people that had that little spark inside of you, and you studied how to use it, and you'll be able to get, some non-combat magic. But the big thing is that you can channel magic through yourself into your Pokemon partners, and that makes your Pokemon better than youngster Joey's top percentage Rattata, because you can teach them moves, and you understand how they work, and you can read scrolls and spells, and like go to areas and like feel magic and whatever the hell. So kind of like a PG version of the Old Republic Sith Empire. If you are someone who has magic, you are in charge. You are the one in charge. You are the upper class. You are the lords and ladies. So the gyms are guilds. And so you are going around doing different guild challenges to get certifications, to compete, to become a master. And that's the idea of this Etheria game or D&D campaign. Gotta love fancy classism, And then the bad guy team, tentatively Team Nexus, maybe Team Apex, something like that, they want to bring humanity back to the pinnacle. So they are stealing Pokemon to siphon their magic away, and they're making like dirty magic artifacts to try to give their goons the same type of power that arcanists inherently have. And then I think it would culminate in the god, because I took some of this stuff from like Netheril. So if you played Baldur's Gate, or obviously if you know Netheril stuff in general, the Karsus was the ruler of Netheril. He wanted to become a new god of magic, and then the goddess of magic was like, nah, and then like canceled magic, and it all went away, and Netheril fucking exploded, and that's that. And then magic came back, and then now people are only allowed to use a certain amount of magic, and this is effectively that same thing. So our Arceus, the evil team is ultimately either going to be making some sort of, you know, devil deal or whatever to get magic back, or they are gathering magic to try to create their own Pokemon, kind of like Team Rocket with Mewtwo, to make a new version of magic that then they can do. So that's the basic story. Yeah, but yeah, no, fantasy, fairy tale, Black Clover, absolutely. Also watching Solo Leveling while I was doing this too. So like the thing where it's just like, you know, anybody can pick up a sword and try to slash a goblin, but if you don't have any magic in you, it's not going to work. So like you are more important to this world because you can contribute to it in this specific way. So like it also explains why some people are Pokemon trainers and some people are accountants in the Pokemon world, and it's because you don't have that magical ability. Because like if anybody could be a Pokemon trainer, why wouldn't you? So, you know, stuff like that helps explain. And also you being able to teach your Pokemon TMs and stuff like that is because you can interpret and read and use this old magic. So like I thought that would be some interesting stuff. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, my initial idea was like Bahamut versus Tiamat kind of a thing. So dragons, you know, so maybe adapting some of that stuff and doing it that way. But we'll see how it plays out. I think that what I want to do, like I said, what I want to do first is map out the first. What is my you know, map out the first couple of gyms of Kanto just as a playtest. So we can see if this stuff works. And then if it does, I'll keep on developing the decks and trying to, you know, make this stuff work and go from there. But that's what I got. I just heard my wife get home and I got to go say goodnight to my daughter. So I'm going to go. And I love every single one of you. Thank you for hanging out with me while I did this. And I'm going to keep on writing stuff and sharing it in the Discord. So please let me know what suggestions you have. I'm going to make a video of this that's like, you know, coherent and stuff. And I'm going to post it probably next week. You just control the monsters. I mean, hey, that'd be fun. But yeah, so I want to make my Ethereum Pokedex, and I want to make videos about that, and hopefully people like it. And then if people like it, that can help fund me making more Pokemon and then continuing to do this. Because, I mean, I could make this no matter what, I guess. But the problem is that if it, on the off chance it got popular, it's an IP and I can't do that. So I would need fake monsters. So for that, I need artists. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Bye.